Hello students, welcome to another lesson presented by the Learning Depot. In today's lesson, we're going to compare verbals, the gerund and the infinitive. From previous lessons you learned that a gerund is a verb form that acts like a noun, and an infinitive is also a verb form that can take the form of a noun, an adjective, and an adverb. You will also hear the infinitive and the gerund referred to as verb complements. This is because they complete the meaning of the verb. And infinitives and gerunds are also classed as non-finite verbs. This means that they do not show tense. They always follow a main verb because on their own, the gerund and the infinitive do not indicate past, present, or future. Let's quickly review what gerunds and infinitives are. Simply stated, a gerund is a verb plus the ing ending, and it functions as a noun in the sentence by appearing as a subject, the subject complement, a direct object, an indirect object, the object of the preposition, and a positive, and also following a possessive adjective. The infinitive can function as an adjective and as an adverb. And if you want to learn more about this, please check out the previous lesson and I'll link it below. But for today's lesson, we're going to look at the infinitive when it functions as a noun. We're going to compare the gerund and the to-infinitive as they function as subjects, subject complements, and direct objects. We will also look at verbs that take only the gerund, verbs that take only the infinitive, verbs that take both the gerund and the infinitive with little or no change in meaning, and verbs that take the gerund and infinitive with a change in meaning. And also verbs that are followed by a preposition plus the gerund. Let's begin. Before we look at all the syntactic constructions, let's try to answer the burning question that all students have. What is the difference in meaning between a gerund and an infinitive? Is there a difference? To answer this question, we will refer to the work of two great early 20th century linguists, Dwight Bullinger, an American linguist who studied and wrote extensively on the nuance of language. His 1977 work, Meaning and Form, was instrumental in establishing the principle that a difference in form implies a difference in perceived meaning. And Otto Jespersen, Danish linguist who specialized in the grammar of the English language, and whose books such as Language, Its Nature and Development and Origin, and The Philosophy of Grammar challenged the accepted views of common concepts in grammar, and proposed corrections to the basic definition of grammatical concepts. And today these books are still used as one of the basic texts in modern structural linguistics. According to Bullinger, the two complement forms, the gerund and the infinitive, do express different shades of meaning. The gerund expresses habitual and actual actions, while the to-infinitive expresses future or potential actions. Gerunds describe actions that are real and actually happened, real, vivid, fulfilled. This explains why verbs like enjoy and avoid take only the gerund, because you can only enjoy things that you've already experienced, and to avoid something is a fulfillment of sorts. So by choosing the gerund form, the preceding verb will imply a frequent, already experienced action, entailing positive or negative feelings toward the event. Verbs such as detest, dislike, enjoy, and prefer refer to actions previously experienced, because if you dislike something or you hate something, you probably experienced it already. I dislike doing grocery shopping. I enjoy skating. These verbs entail negative or positive feelings towards the action because they are referring to something that you already did. It has a progressive aspect, which is another essential feature of the gerund, and it can express actual past events. Infinitives, specifically the to-infinitive, describes unfulfilled outcomes, hypothetical and future. When the to-infinitive verb is chosen, the main verb implies a future meaning. This principle explains why verbs like want and hope take only the infinitive. They represent future and unfulfilled events, imply future action, something not yet experienced or known. I plan to go to Italy. I wish to go to Italy. These actions represent something projected as opposed to the gerund, which is fulfilled. The infinitive is more appropriate than the gerund to describe something that is unfulfilled versus actually that is already done.
Let's go on to look at gerunds and infinitives when they function as a subject complement, and as a direct object. As a subject, Working at a bakery is Cassie's job. To help the less fortunate is Cassie's desire. Notice that the infinitive as a subject sounds very formal, poetic, and abstract. The to particle in the infinitive is future-leaning, and according to Jurgensen, it adds an air of futurity, meaning in the future. One thing to note about the infinitive as a subject, it is more common to start with the introductory it, also called the dummy subject, and place a to-infinitive clause at the end of the sentence. So for example, you would say, it is Cassie's desire to help the less fortunate. The subject complement. The school's goal is to increase parental involvement. The parent's role is volunteering at school functions. And as a direct object, Addie pretended to sleep while Mother called her. Mother tried waking her without success. In the next section, we will look at verbs followed by a gerund, verbs followed by a to-infinitive, verbs that are followed by a gerund or the to-infinitive with little or no change in meaning, and common verbs followed by a gerund or to-infinitive with a change in meaning. We will also look at verbs followed by a preposition and a gerund. Let's look at some common verbs that change meaning when they are followed by the gerund or the to-infinitive. Verbs like forget. When you use forget plus the gerund, you are saying that you forgot a memory, something that you've done in the past. You already did it, but you don't remember doing it. Did you forget meeting my boss at last year's office party? When you use forget with the to-infinitive, you want to do something, but you forgot about it. You had the intention of doing it, but you didn't remember to do it. Henry forgot to study for the big exam. Regret is another verb that changes meaning when used with the gerund or the infinitive. When you use regret with the gerund, you are saying you are sorry about something you did in the past, and you wish you hadn't done it. I regret hurting your feelings. I'm sorry. When you use regret with the to-infinitive, you're usually using it in formal situations to say that you are sorry about something. We regret to inform you that we will no longer be open on the weekends. The verb remember. When you use remember with a gerund, you use it to reminisce, to look back on something. You remember a memory, something that happened in the past. I remember walking to school with my cousins. However, when you use remember with the to-infinitive, you had the intention of doing something. You may or may have not done it. Did you remember to call your grandmother and wish her a happy birthday? And let's look at stop. When you use stop with the gerund, it means that you are no longer doing something. You quit doing it. I stopped eating dairy. But when you use stop with the infinitive, You stopped or you quit what you were doing to go ahead and do something else. When I passed by the supermarket, I stopped to pick up some vegan yogurt. Let's look at verbs followed by a preposition and then the gerund. You will commonly see these constructions. I plan on going to the movies with Helene. Sherry admitted to forging her mother's signature on the report card. We spoke about splitting the tab at the restaurant. Mr. Patel is committed to helping his students succeed. She won an award for writing the best poem. Remember that the best way to learn about gerunds and infinitives and which one to use is by reading and listening to native speakers.
Make sure to go back to review the parts of the video that you did not understand. This is a complicated subject. And down below I'll link the lessons on gerunds and infinitives and participles. I will also link the PDF with the verbs so that you can review which verbs take infinitives and which verbs take the gerunds. And before you go, please subscribe and hit that notification bell so that you'll be notified every time I upload a new lesson. I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Bye!